My account better have a minimum of $50,000 in it, considering the hefty withdrawals made over the last 6 months. I've been suspicious of unauthorized transactions and reported my concerns to the bank. To catch the culprit, I decided to set up a trap after consulting with them. Astonishingly, my suspicions pointed towards my husband and sister-in-law. It's been 2 years since I tied the knot with my husband, but my inclination to divorce him grows every day. The compatibility with his family is abysmal. His folks consist of a salaried father, a part-time working mother, and a sister with her husband and 3 kids, just a short 5-minute stroll away. On the contrary, my husband and I, both working full-time with no kids, live in an apartment an hour's drive from his parents' place. During our family introduction, I thought we'd get along well. The family banter seemed friendly, with me being playfully teased and praised. We got married, had a satisfying wedding, and even went on a honeymoon to Taiwan. However, things took a turn when we encountered an elderly American man at breakfast. I offered him my unused coupon, but my husband reacted coldly, calling the man a beggar. It sparked a cold war between us that continued after returning from JFK. I didn't want an immediate divorce, but the growing discontent within me suggests otherwise. The flight back had me on edge about our future, and sure enough, our married life was marred by issues stirred up by my sister-in-law. Just before our wedding, she, 3 months pregnant with twins, asked my husband for my contact information, claiming she had something important to discuss. Puzzled, I hesitated, but my husband decided to share my details without consulting me. The next day, my sister-in-law, considering us family, asserted that I should be a great help in raising her 3 children. She insisted it's tough being a stay-at-home wife all day. You'll understand, right? She even added, keep yourself available for about a year and a half. I protested, stating my busy remote work schedule. Dismissing me, she laughed and said it's just a bit more than a side job. When I confronted my husband, he sided with his sister, claiming that as family, there's no need for formal requests. Frustrated, I suggested involving other family members, but he insisted it's too late for that. I was tasked with taking the older kid to and from school, a 1-hour drive each way from our home to my sister-in-law's. Despite the impracticality and my objections, my husband remained adamant. To make matters worse, he smugly remarked, "You're the superhero, so naturally, you'll help my troubled sister, right?" Fed up with his persistence, I visited my in-laws the next day and firmly refused any involvement with my sister-in-law's requests. The following day, she asked me to handle the nephew's pickup and drop-off, but I stood my ground, citing work commitments and the impractical distance. To my surprise, my in-laws became infuriated, questioning my compassion and whether my parents taught me anything. They asserted that a wife is meant to serve her husband, his parents, and his sister, living in devoted service to the ancestors. It was a shocking revelation, and they emphasized the disgrace they felt in my actions. Upon witnessing my reaction, my in-laws seemed to grasp my error and reluctantly said, "As long as you understand, make sure you fulfill your duties as a wife." The assistance from my husband's family, including my husband himself, persisted for a year and a half. However, this commitment would consume over 4 hours in total for a round trip, significantly impacting my work. When I communicated this issue to my husband, who was unwilling to sacrifice disposable income, he managed to persuade his family to accept my condition of only helping out for the first month after the birth. After that period elapsed, my sister-in-law began bringing her 3 children to our house every weekend. The consequences were apparent: water wastage, air conditioning running in all rooms, an emptied fridge, excessive tissue use, and consistently depleted toilet paper. To make matters worse, my jewelry went missing, and my sister-in-law started taking my car without asking, going out on her own. When I confronted her about borrowing my car, I emphasized that she should have at least informed me, pointing out that my insurance didn't cover accidents caused by anyone other than myself. But she remained stubborn, refusing to listen. What's worse, my car already had scratches and dents from her use. Worried about a potential accident, I messaged my sister-in-law's husband, who had previously been unresponsive despite notifications. To my dismay, the situation escalated as both my husband and sister-in-law started leaving their kids with me to go out more frequently. During this time, I found myself juggling household chores accumulated over the weekdays while caring for three unfamiliar children. One particular weekend, my sister-in-law left her kids with me and went out with my husband. However, when she finally returned on Monday morning after my husband went to work, I went to the bank and was shocked to find my balance had plummeted to a single digit. There should have been $50,000 in this account. Upon closer inspection, substantial amounts of money had been withdrawn multiple times over the past 6 months. Suspecting unauthorized withdrawals, I reported my concerns to the bank and decided it was time to set up a trap to catch the perpetrator. The following weekend, as per usual, my sister-in-law imposed child-care duties on me and left with my husband. Moreover, on that day, my in-laws embarked on a one-night trip, leaving me with parting words. Take this as a learning opportunity for future childcare. You're lucky to learn this for free, such remarks stung. The afternoon after they left, my phone buzzed incessantly with calls, and ignoring them led to messages flooding my inbox on various social media platforms. Reluctantly answering the phone, I was met with a loud voice complaining, "I can't withdraw money. What's going on?" Feeling a sense of victory, I inquired about the issue. My sister-in-law shouted back, I can't withdraw money from your bank account. We can't even pay for our lodging." Calmly, I questioned why she assumed she could use my account without asking. In response, she hurled curses, and my husband intervened, explaining that due to a shortage of funds, they didn't have enough credit limit for the trip and decided to pay in cash. Coldly, I asked whose bank account it was, pointing out that it was mine. The line fell silent. My husband finally said it didn't matter, and if they couldn't pay, they wouldn't be able to check out or even afford the train fare home. Behind him, the in-laws suggested transferring some money to my husband's account, insisting we discuss it when they returned. Astonished by their audacity, I firmly replied, "I can't do that. I have to go to the police." Silence hung on the other side of the phone. After a long pause, my sister-in-law exclaimed in disbelief, "Police? Why? It's normal to file a report if someone is withdrawing money from your account without permission." I laughed and explained, "You're our daughter-in-law. Whatever belongs to the daughter-in-law is for the family's use. You don't even understand that." When my father-in-law argued that family members can't commit theft against each other due to some familial exemption, suggesting that theft among family members can't be prosecuted, I quickly countered. I clarified that my sister-in-law and I are not cohabiting relatives, rendering that exemption irrelevant. My father-in-law was left speechless when my husband asked if I intended to sue his sister. I informed him that as a victim, legal action was indeed on the table. Certainly, I would pursue legal action and consult on the theft of my jewelry and other items taken by my sister-in-law. She interrupted, questioning if there was any evidence, but I had already identified her flea market app account, where records of her selling stolen items from me were preserved, including some with photos of warranty cards, unmistakably proving they were mine. She began crying upon learning this. When my husband became angry and insisted I apologize to his sister, I stood firm. I explained that as a superhero, I couldn't overlook wrongdoing. I also informed him that I was preparing for a divorce and that there would be a proper settlement for alimony and property division. In response, he mocked me, refusing to pay any alimony. However, I had records and witnesses attesting to how my marriage had become untenable due to his and his family's actions. When I hinted at exposing everything in court, my husband questioned what I meant. Suddenly, a person in the passenger seat connected to the car's speakerphone revealed themselves. They claimed to be observing and listening to all the misdeeds as a family member. This revelation shocked everyone, providing a potential witness to the unfolding drama. To uncover the unauthorized money withdrawals, the bank suggested that if the transaction history wasn't recorded in the passbook, it was likely someone with access to the cash card and PIN, usually a family member, was responsible. I devised a plan, intentionally leaving a bank statement showing a transfer of about $3,000 in a conspicuous place while changing the PIN. This was meant to lock the cash card after 3 failed attempts by my sister-in-law, effectively setting a trap. Additionally, I strategically left a brochure for an inn that only accepted cash payments within earshot of my sister-in-law. Observing her and my husband's reaction, I inwardly relished the success of my plan. I took action by sending a detailed message and photos to my sister-in-law's husband, exposing how she dumped her kids on me, the unsanitary conditions at her house when I wasn't caring for the children, and how the in-laws condoned it without reprimanding her. He quickly responded, having taken leave from his company citing a family emergency. He harbored various grievances and suspicions towards his wife's treatment of their children, but was silenced by her threats of divorce without custody. Together, my sister-in-law's husband and I cooperated, each hiring lawyers. I sought reimbursement for the embezzled money, compensation for my stolen items, alimony, and property division. As my sister-in-law's husband calmly explained the situation, my sister-in-law was shrieking on the other end of the phone, and my husband warned that they couldn't get away with this for free. Unfazed, I revealed my investigation findings, informing them that both my husband and sister-in-law were dumping their kids on me while spending their time in nightclubs and bars. I expressed my disappointment in their actions, emphasizing that it was worse than I had imagined. I informed my husband that my belongings had already been moved out of the apartment. Since the apartment was considered company housing by my employer, a cleaning crew would be coming in soon, and he needed to leave promptly. I then handed the conversation back to my sister-in-law's husband. He calmly stated that he would be taking the children to his parents' house, and my sister-in-law would not be allowed to see them. He also mentioned that he would be selling the house, which was in his name, and she needed to move out immediately. We blocked all communication with them. Despite their attempts to reconcile and avoid divorce, they couldn't check out of their lodging without paying the bill. Eventually, the in-laws were reported to the police for suspected dine and dashed and lodging without payment. After being scolded by the police, they promised to pay upon returning home. As promised, they made their way back using regular trains. I left only the divorce papers, and the in-laws found their homes empty. Thanks to competent lawyers, I received a lump sum for alimony, and both my sister-in-law's husband and I finalized our divorces. He successfully gained custody of the children. At the behest of my ex-husband and ex-sister-in-law, the former in-laws had to sell their home to cover the alimony and embezzled money, becoming guarantors for the new debts incurred by the ex-sister-in-law and ex-husband. Furthermore, their debts at the nightclubs and bars became so substantial that they had to work tirelessly day and night to repay them. As for me, I decided to take a break from marriage for a while. My plan was to focus on taking care of myself and making up for the time wasted with my ex-husband.